It's Fitness Fanatics from 9 to 11 a.m. on Sundays on 93.7 The Ticket and theticketfm.com.
Are you in the market for a new garage door or need to repair your old one? It's wintertime, and that means snow, wind, and freezing temperatures, all things that can cause sticky locks and damage to your garage door. If you're experiencing any issues with your commercial or residential garage door during the winter months, call Cameron Hall and his team at Doors Plus. Don't be trapped outside in the cold because of a poorly maintained garage door. Call Doors Plus today at 402-590-5800 or visit them online at doorsplusllc.com. Doors Plus, garage doors and more.
Early break with Sip and Jake.
You did feel the need to cuss in this one. Yeah, you cannot be this mentally fragile. Act like you're a damned NCAA tournament team.
Listen, I'm not going to change the way I tweet.
Do you think Fred saw the tweet? Do you think Fred saw the tweet and called a timeout and they're like, Sorensen's upset. I got to get this.
Early break with Sip and Jake from 6 to 8 every weekday morning on 93.7 The Ticket. This is Lincoln's home for sports talk on the FM dial. Also online at theticketfm.com.
On the internet.
KNTK FM Firth, 93.7 The Ticket. The Supernovas Radio Network is live. This is the Omaha Supernovas pregame show brought to you by Mullen Motors.
Atlanta, Georgia. Gas South Arena. Pro Volleyball Federation action between two of the prominent and most followed members of this federation. The Atlanta Vibe coming to tonight at 4-2. Supernovas coming to it at 5-3, and there's lots of action going on. This will be one of two games on the schedule for the federation tonight. The Vegas Thrill travel to San Diego to take on the Mojo later tonight. But in the meanwhile, what we will have for you is being underplayed. Just another game. Talk to Coach Bird. Just another game. Hey, go 1-0. Go 1-0. And I love that. But I also have a sneaky suspicion that everything about tonight will be slightly amplified, slightly accelerated, and 100% elevated.
I asked her the same question. I was like, 1 versus 2, this is kind of a big game. It's a marathon. I agree. It's a marathon, but like you win, you go to 6-3, they go to 4-3. So you have a little bit of separation. They win, they go to 5-2, you go to 5-4. Again, a little bit of separation. So every game's a big game when it comes to this league.
6-3 just looks way better.
Yes.
It's a much better look than the other. And we won't even mention the other because it's just in the realm of things. It's not a possibility. I'm DP. Next to me, Coach Renee Saunders. We thank Harrison Orange back in the booth. Rico, super producer Rico sitting next to us, will hold it down and then join us for the post-match to break down what is about to happen here, what we see and what we think we see. We lead the pregame with this thanks to Mullen Motors, the folks that make this thing happen each and every pregame here on 93.7 The Ticket and the Supernovas Radio Network. Coach, lots to ponder and to go through. But let's go back before we go forward in that what we saw in Orlando makes a statement. What's the grand takeaway for the victory in Orlando by the Supernovas?
I mean, this team's identity has been a team that never gives up. You know, they were tied 1-1 going into the third, and they responded brilliantly, with 2 sets wins after that, and they weren't even close. I mean, they did a great job of closing out sets 3 and 4 really well. I want to say that they've gone more free volleyball than any other team in the league. They've staved off more set points than any other team in the league. So they're battle tested coming into this match, and I think that that's going to be good. Atlanta's coming off a break. We're at the end of a really long road trip, so we'll see. But Bird says they're feeling good, and I mean, based on their faces and their demeanors, it looks like they're feeling good too.
Through all of that, right, the marathon race that this is, there are bumps and bruises, there are potholes in the road, detours along the way. Where does this roster stand health-wise, to your knowledge?
I mean, a little beat up, but not awful. I mean, we have Danielle Hart moved to short-term IR, Gina on the short-term IR. Sydney wasn't playing in the last match, but she's looking like she's feeling pretty good, so she'd be available tonight. Sophie Davis has been activated from our practice roster to our active roster, so I think we're sitting in a pretty good spot. We've got, people obviously that put a lot of time on the court and a lot of jumps and a lot of reps, and then we have a lot of fresh legs on the bench if we need them. And I don't think Bird's afraid to make substitutions if she needs to. She's proven that if something seems off, she's going to try the next best thing to fix it.
That was a big deal Sunday. And watching Coach Bird look down the bench and one, identify a need, and then two, to be able to pull the trigger and make it work. And then we saw the emergence. And I think that's a fair word for it in year one. First call of duty that Allison Mayfield steps up, shows out, and just gets it done.
Yeah, Mayfield absolutely stepped up huge in the Columbus game. We have Maggie Cartwright steps up huge in Orlando.
Yep.
You have Paige Briggs, who steps up huge when Brooke goes down with a sprained ankle. So we've had 3 people come in and make major impacts on the court, and it's been refreshing, right? You get some fresh legs out there, you get some fresh energy, young energy, and a little bit of fearlessness out of those young kids. They've definitely proved that they belong here. They proved that they're ready if we need them. And I think Bird has the utmost, and the rest of the coaches have the utmost confidence in them.
It was pretty interesting, right? And it makes a statement about Coach Bird that having the trust to look down your bench and put somebody in a situation at this level. One, we understand the talent's already in the pool, but to be able to manage that talent, manage the personnel, and then push the right button, because you can try several things and they may not work. They worked on something.
Thank goodness, right?
Well, I wanted to ask about it from the coaching perspective, because in big matches, and these are all big matches, because the season is the season, but to trust the players that you put in, how much of that is, I saw it in practice, I've seen the improvement, I've seen this talent or skill being refined and elevated, and then to call on it, how important is that? Because then it allows the players to then trust Coach Bird that, if it's not working, she'll pull the right trigger.
Yeah, well, I think in general as a coach, trust is developed in the practice gym. You have to, and even as an outsider, we're not in the practice gym every single day. Right. So we just have to assume that the people that are there every day know the right decision for the team. And she hasn't been afraid to play the bench, but she's told me in our conversations that she hopes she gets to get certain people in because they have been killing it in the gym. But then the trust goes the other direction too, in the terms of she's very good with communicating with all of them. So, hey, be ready. You're next man up, and when kids have that in their head that they're possibly going to get an opportunity, obviously sometimes you don't, sometimes you do. But every time that she's gone to the bench, they come in ready to play. And there's times where you can substitute and people come in and they're not ready to play. And I think the trust goes both directions. She's developed trust in them based on what they're doing, and they're trusting her because when they have needed to pull the trigger, they did, and those kids responded well.
Does it matter if you're pulling the trigger to a veteran player or a rookie player? Does it matter in these situations?
No, because if you've earned the trust in the practice gym and you've done the work, there's a chance that you have already been showing that you've got it. Right, versus the veterans, versus the starters. If you're getting kills against the A side, you're probably doing pretty good. If you're blocking the A side, if you're passing times, there's so many different things that you look at, and then the energy that those younger players are bringing to the experienced players, it's a really great balance that they have on the team.
Coach, it's at 5-3 again. The personality profile is starting to become a little bit more clear. The schemes that are being put into play are becoming a little bit more clear, a little bit more known. And then here's the thing that I want to ask. Presence. Where they are right now today, is this a good play? Is this where you expected this team to be? Are they ahead of schedule? Are they on schedule? What's your vibe as far as where this team is today?
I think they're in a great spot. I mean, they continue to, defy the odds, come from behind, win those deuce sets. They've lost their 3 matches, but I feel like every time they've lost, they've responded well afterwards. And they've done, from Columbus road trip to Orlando, it was like 2 different teams playing. So they figured things out. Their competitive chemistry was the words that Bird used today when I was talking to her. And I think that competitive chemistry is something that this team is slowly developing more and more of. So the tighter the circumstance, the more they're relying on each other. And we talked about that a little bit before the last game, about the leaning on each other versus just being there, like using their teammates to help them get through it. And I think as they learn who they can rely on, who they can trust, who they can go to, who they can talk to, who they can lean on, they're going to keep growing in that. And I think it's, as that gets more fine-tuned, the chemistry gets better. I didn't know what to expect because the league is really good.
Yeah.
Right. So, I mean, in an ideal world in the state of Nebraska, we want to win every game and want to win them all and win the whole thing. Like that's the expectation, correct? But the amount of great players and great teams in this league, it's so even all the way across the board. I mean, that was proven when San Diego beat Grand Rapids for their first win. That was the 7 over the 1. I mean, anybody can win on any given night. So it's really it's a matter of resilience and fortitude.
Yeah, I mean, through all of this, right, that and even before the season, we said, okay, there's going to be balance. There's going to be depth on every team, and every roster is going to move. But as we asked the question before the season, I'll ask it again now. Every team is led. Who's leading the Supernovas?
That's a good question because I feel like different people have stepped up on different matches. Like we've seen.
And this is multi-layered because there's different types of leadership. So, again, I'll take where you want to start.
We've had the consistency with Kendall in the back row. We've had, the setters. Sometimes we start with one setter, we end with the other one. And it's not a matter of one not doing well. It's a matter of we just need a different vibe at that time. Betty and Brooke have been pretty consistent on the outside, but Paige has come in and made a big difference. Mayfield came in, made a big difference. Jess Shaven Landsman has been a consistency on the opposite, but Maggie Cartwright showed that last match that she could come in and help there too. Tori and Christina Vuchkova have both, made their presence known in the middle. So it depends on, it's funny because it depends on the match. Somebody steps up, and it might be with a great pass. It might be with a great block. It might be with a service run. I mean, it could be with a big kill at a big time. Like Betty in set 4 against Orlando came up big. She had like 3 or 4 points in a row in the front row. And there were other games where maybe she did, and it was Brooke that did that. So I feel like everybody has the capability to be that player, and nobody's like starving to be it every single time. They're a very good team, and balance has always been the key, and they continue to strive for great balance.
The organic part of it is impressive. We'll sort of break when we come back to Atlanta, Georgia. I do want to stay here in that pocket because there's just different types of leadership away from the court, on the court, in the locker room, and those things. And I want to talk about both teams because there are, in fact, different kinds of leadership. I want to talk about that when we come back to Atlanta, Georgia. You're listening to DP, Coach Renee Saunders, Supernovas Radio Network.
As a physician at Nebraska Hematology Oncology, we strive to treat everyone like family. We know that cancer is extremely disruptive to someone's life. We want to make sure that this is a family-friendly, community-based approach with the patient first. We are Nebraska Hematology Oncology, on your side, by your side.
Plains Cover Crop is your one-stop seed shop. Call us now for spring and summer forages, CRP mixes, and fall cover crop blends. We do farm-specific consulting for practical and efficient seed blends to fit your geography and goals. With a very diverse inventory, we will tailor a blend just for you. We're also looking for contract growers, and we buy and sell rye. Find us online at plainscovercrop.com. Timeless agronomy practices paired with modern technology. East Highway 20 in Orchard and across Nebraska.
Road construction is complete, so there's nothing keeping you from getting into Mullen Motors. They can get you into a new vehicle right now and get your 2024 started off the right way. They cleared off their 2023 inventory and have tons of new vehicles to choose from to make sure you get to where you need to be this year. Out with the old and in with the new. Stop by Mullen Motors today, just north of 48th and Layton in Lincoln.
No tag-on, just quality vehicles. Mullen Motors.
Action Plumbing, Heating, Air, and Electric is the call I make when I have a need for plumbing services. Whether it's for my home or office, if I need a repair to a water heater, softener, or even my garbage disposal, I know I can count on Action to help. In one simple call, their amazing customer service team promptly schedules a service call, often getting to my needs within a day. Action delivers honest quality services we can count on. To learn more, visit actionlincoln.com.
Your child was embarrassed when you arrived at their basketball game. 75% of parents or guardians report current alcohol use. Drinking alcohol can cause harm to children and loved ones. By drinking less, your child will be excited to see you at their basketball game. If you or a loved one is looking for help, find a treatment facility near you at findtreatment.gov. For immediate support, call, text, or chat 988.
Brought to you by Nebraska DHHS in partnership with SAMHSA.
The Supernovas Radio Network is live. This is the Omaha Supernovas pregame show brought to you by Mullen Motors.
TP Coach Renee Saunders live from Atlanta, Georgia. Again, it's the Gas South Arena. Duluth, Georgia is actually appropriate and proper. Nice venue, nice arena. We can tell from the folks that know AEW will be here next week, so if that gives you some idea about the standard of the building and what you're dealing with. Coach Saunders again on a night where the 4-2 Vibe take on the 5-3 Supernovas, and I don't want to call it a rematch, but it's season 1, episode 2 of Vibe versus Supernovas. We're talking about leadership, and I think a big part of it, how much of, again, being all the time on the road, controlled practices, nutrition, rest. Otherwise, somebody is going to lead and set the tone for how that's going to be handled and what's okay, right? What's okay. And I think that when I talk to coaches, I want to ask them what's okay with them. What's the standard being set? Who's leading? And how do you handle a team on the road in game 9 in a long stretch? Lots of travel, early morning travel, midday travel, meals on the road. How do you control that? How is Coach Bird controlling it? How is he handling it?
I think they have a pretty set schedule. Come in the day before, day of, they've got breakfast, they've got serve and pass, they've got film, they've got me time, they've got a lunch or / a pregame meal, whatever it might be, and then they have their court time, and then afterwards they have a postgame meal. So, they definitely have consistency on the road. As a coach, setting up that schedule is super important, and it's important for it to be consistent. And for me, when our team's on the road, I'm going to ask my captains or my seniors, does this schedule work, or what do you like or not like, and then try to make adjustments based on that. If they do that, I don't know. Some of it might be this is when we have to do certain things because this is when we're scheduled for this. So obviously you work around those things. But I think one of the awesome parts about coaching is allowing your players a voice. And so some of the older ones, they might think it's really important to have a serve and pass, and other ones might be I'm good without a serve and pass, and they have to weigh it out and decide what's best for the team. There have been some trips where they don't have it, and there's been other trips where they do, and that might be a legs thing too. It's all stuff you take into consideration. But I think on the road, it's super important to be consistent with your schedule so that it's kind of like at home, right? But you're not sleeping in your own bed and you're on a plane. And that's what Tori Dixon said when I asked her what's the biggest difference between playing overseas and playing here. And she's like the planes. We bust everywhere. Everything was within a busing distance. So traveling on a plane to go to these different locations and sometimes playing them a couple days apart can be, hydration is probably key. Somewhat of a regular sleep schedule, jumping from East Coast time to West Coast time or wherever they might be going. Omaha is the only central time zone team in the league, so they're usually having to make adjustments on time zones. So does that make a difference? Maybe, but they get enough rest time and me time that if they need a nap, if they need that, they can do it. But I think the veterans are kind of leading the way of this is what we do on the road, and the young kids are probably following a little bit and then going from there. But I mean, the bottom line is, we talk about this all the time, they're professional athletes. Some of them might be newer in the professional world, and some of them might be older in the professional world, but they've got to find what works for them, and they need to model what the big ones are doing, you know.
What the leader? Well, somebody's going to lead.
Yeah.
And they can either lead you left or right, ideally straight ahead and forward and up, but that doesn't always happen, even if properly planned. Like sometimes it's situation and circumstance. This league is constantly setting a new standard for itself in the level of play, the business being done, and otherwise. I want to go through the current standings because there's a question I was asked, and I want your opinion on it. That if the Vibe is sitting at 4-2, Supernovas at 5-3, Fury and Rise both at 3-2 and 3-2, the Valkyries at 3-4, Vegas Thrill at 2-5, San Diego Mojo at 1-3. Smallest resume, least amount of real knowledge about what it is and what it's going to be. Is there a positive surprise in the Pro Volleyball Federation, to your mind, at the level of play by any of these teams?
I think the biggest surprise is how even all the teams really are. You know, like in any level, high school, Division I, Division II, NAIA, there usually tends to be like the really good teams and then the not very good teams, right? And so you know that when you go into XYZ, you're going to win. That's not a guarantee in this league. There isn't that. And maybe when there's more teams and it grows and it gets bigger, that might happen. But right now there's not a lot of disparity. And I think that's awesome, because that's telling me that we have a lot of great players in the United States that want to play volleyball. And there's some still overseas that might be wanting to come back next year. And I think that's going to continue to grow as they see what this league is doing. But I think the biggest surprise is the evenness from top to bottom in this. Like anybody can win any given day.
If we used 100 as the standard for what's in the league now, like I'm sure there's an actual number of players under contract, and the quality of play of the international players that have come over and the American players that are there, and then including rookie players. If I asked you to be as absolutely honest as possible, what's the number of this caliber pro American players are there out there for Pro Volleyball Federation to kind of set as the standard and pool for how they're going to do business going forward?
Oh, I don't even know if I could give you a legit fair answer, because like some of these, like look at Maddox at Vegas out of South Alabama.
Mm-hmm.
Never heard of her. She's electric. Mm-hmm. So fun to watch. So I think like when you're looking top to bottom, all the Division I, Division II, NAIA, like there's a huge pool to pull from of kids. I mean, literally college kids that want to keep playing volleyball and living their dream of playing professional sports in the United States. I mean, that's a really cool thing for any college athlete at any level to dream to be. And I think that this league makes it possible. And I think that, you know, we could have a 32-team league if we want and be able to have really good talent across the board.
That was the direction we're going. That there is an organic growth to it, because you planted the seeds, and then what comes from it in its infant stages, which is still what this is. But then, purposefully, as it tries to go forward, this federation is going to make a decision on what the proper size is, what the rosters will look like, what the organizations will look like. And I find it fascinating that, one, to get to where they've arrived at today, where they can say, listen, if you want to know who we are, if you want to know what Pro Volleyball Federation volleyball is and where we are, you can look tonight in Atlanta, Georgia, and see the Atlanta Vibe and the Omaha Supernovas, and they will show you and tell you what Pro Volleyball Federation action is. And I think that's a pretty cool standard that's been set. It will evolve, and we will get into it. So we'll go to break. When we come back to Atlanta, Georgia, I want to get into the rosters and what's going on. We'll check back in with Atlanta and find out how they've changed and moved their roster around. Looks a little different than what we last saw. We'll do that and more from Atlanta, Georgia. I'm GP, Coach Renee Saunders, here on the Supernovas Radio Network.
Ironhide Construction is hiring. They're looking for hardworking, self-motivated individuals who are team players. Ironhide Construction has openings for an experienced project manager, estimator, apprentice, skilled laborer, and erector or installer. They will train the right people and make sure you understand the position and requirements. At Ironhide Construction, it's own it, be honest, and do it right. Apply today and learn more about their other benefits at ironhideconstruction.com, where they're committed to you every step of the way. Road construction is complete, so there's nothing keeping you from getting into Mullen Motors. They can get you into a new vehicle right now and get your 2024 started off the right way. They cleared off their 2023 inventory and have tons of new vehicles to choose from to make sure you get to where you need to be this year. Out with the old and in with the new. Stop by Mullen Motors today, just north of 48th and Layton in Lincoln.
No tagline, just quality vehicles. Mullen Motors.
Hi, Sean Callahan here for Coppell Chevrolet GMC, and we have some really big savings for you right now. Our new crossover sale is underway. New Terrains, Equinoxes, and Trailblazers starting at $23,290. That's right, $23,290. Also, we've continued our huge Sierra and Silverado truck sale with over $10,000 off new pickups. You heard right, over $10,000 off list. Coppell truly has a small town feel with big city deals. We're right down 144th Street or at CoppellCars.com. Stock numbers G260980 and C119824.
Empower a life today with the Teammates Mentoring Program. Change is only a conversation away when you choose to share your wisdom, time, and heart with a young mind. Together, we can craft a brighter future, one child at a time. Ignite a spark of hope and be someone's guiding light. Find out more about becoming a mentor by visiting teammates.org. Become a beacon of change by joining the Teammates Mentoring Program today.
Stop by the brand new Midwest Bank this Friday from 4 to 6 p.m. for their grand opening. J&DP will be broadcasting on-site for Old School, and there will be tons of prizes available for anyone who stops by, as well as complimentary food and drinks. That's this Friday from 4 to 6 p.m. at Midwest Bank on 70th and Pioneers.
Start your Sundays off right with Jeff and Nicole Essink on Fitness Fanatics. Jeff and Nicole discuss health and wellness, how to achieve fitness goals, and more through the life of gym owners and gym goers. It's Fitness Fanatics from 9 to 11 a.m. on Sundays on 93.7 The Ticket and theticketfm.com.
The Supernovas Radio Network is live. This is the Omaha Supernovas pregame show brought to you by Mullen Motors.
30-plus minutes away from First Serve, Gas South Arena, Duluth, Georgia. Supernovas Radio Network, DP, next to Coach Renee Saunders, and Coach on a 4-2 Atlanta Vibe roster. What we saw in week one was good enough for a victory, and then changes have been made. The evolution of the Atlanta Vibe is going to be an interesting thing. So let's go back to the first episode of this matchup, right? That you go 5 sets. A lot of the numbers looked pretty identical, and then it came down to, I think you described it then as a matter of big points and big plays. What are your recollections of the first matchup of the season? Ooh,
I actually went and looked.
Yeah, that volleyball got her.
Yeah, those volleyballs are hard.
Yep.
They're way harder than, for those of you at home, the volleyballs are definitely harder than your leather high school balls and leather college balls. It's got a little bit more density to it, but so to get in the face with one is gonna smart a little bit,
especially when you're not prepared for it and you're not used to having those volleyballs fly at your face like that. Yeah.
Courtside issues.
That's where you want to be.
So looking back, I actually went back and looked, and statistically, we won the match. Literally the only two things that Atlanta did better than us is they got 94 digs and we got 97. So we beat them on that. Assists. Oh, no, my bad. Atlanta had 97 digs. We had 94, and they had 58 assists, and we had 53 assists. Every other statistical category, we won. And so when you look at it and you go back, sets 1 and 2, we probably had 2 or 3, just errors in terms of drop balls, communication, first game jitters types of things. You take those out, and we probably have a different result. So I think this is a big match for the Supernovas coming back around. Most of their lineup is going to look the same for Atlanta. The biggest difference is they have Anna. I'm gonna struggle with this.
We just talked about it. That was the team captain.
Sydney was aiming
that
for
was
me
the team
on that
captain. See, that's the leadership, and they're letting us know that they see us over here.
Anna Lazareva from Russia is their biggest difference in there now. So now she's at the opposite. She comes from Russia. She's a 9-year pro. She was in the 2020 Olympics, 27 years old. She's really long and really good at attack and block. And so that adds a different element to their team. Otherwise, we're probably going to see the same outside hitters, the same middle blockers, the same setter, and the same libero. Now, they have been kind of bouncing a little bit, putting in Montserrat over Stringer and putting in Member Manet for Linehan. So they have been doing that, and Linehan was hurt for a little while, rolled her ankle, and was out. And so Member Manet had stepped up into that. So it's a good shot that we see up to 10 players or more tonight in this match.
It was interesting because when you watch match one, and then you're right that Lazareva and her presence, she does a little of them for them offensively what Vuchkova does for the Supernovas defensively. It looks different. You have to attack it differently. All right, here's what we'll do. We'll go to break. We're doing some engineering in the vicinity. We'll go to break, and we'll come back and get you all set up for Atlanta versus Omaha. Here, I'm TP Coach Renee Saunders on the Supernovas Radio Network.
Rashawn Jackson here for Bauer Infrastructure, a veteran-owned local company proudly serving Lincoln, Lancaster County, and the surrounding areas. Bauer provides quality work at an affordable price, and they're growing rapidly. If you want to experience a career with a fast-paced, family-friendly environment, visit BauerInfrastructure.com. They have top-of-the-line benefits, year-round work, even through the winter. Bauer, usher in the new era of infrastructure to an area near you. And as always, go Big Red!
Road construction is complete, so there's nothing keeping you from getting into Mullen Motors. They can get you into a new vehicle right now and get your 2024 started off the right way. They cleared off their 2023 inventory and have tons of new vehicles to choose from to make sure you get to where you need to be this year. Out with the old and in with the new. Stop by Mullen Motors today, just north of 48th and Layton in Lincoln.
No tagline, just quality vehicles. Mullen Motors.
If you're in Seward or Milford, listen up. Select Plumbing is now servicing your area with no trip charges from Lincoln. Select Plumbing works on a variety of issues for your home and business, including general plumbing, water heaters, faucet and fixture repair, underground sewer and water repairs, backflow testing, and more. Keep your property free from leaks and other issues. Call today for a free estimate, 402-560-6197. It's not just Lincoln, Waverly, and the surrounding area anymore. It's also Seward and Milford with no trip charges. Contact Select Plumbing to inquire at 402-560-6197.
At Allo, we believe in the exceptional. From extraordinary whole home coverage to super fast speeds, our local teams are always on hand to make sure your service is running at top performance. Let go of lag, banish buffering, and enjoy outstanding service throughout your entire home. We believe in delivering nothing less than exceptional service, so that's exactly what we do. Visit us at allofiber.com to experience the exceptional.
93.7 The Ticket, Fox, KFXL weather. Brought to you by Bryant Air Conditioning, Heating, Electrical, and Plumbing.
Your Lincoln forecast for today, we'll see lots of sunshine, but it will be windy. We'll see an afternoon high near 60. Tonight, mainly clear skies, but it will still be breezy and a low near 33. And tomorrow, more sunshine, but continued breeze. See an afternoon high around 62. Meteorologist Kyle Flecker for 93.7 The Ticket and theticketfm.com.
The Supernovas Radio Network is live. This is the Omaha Supernovas pregame show brought to you by Mullen Motors.
We appreciate our affiliates around the state and around the folks around the country who are following on YouTube and the Ticket app and the Supernovas app. We appreciate it. For the game itself, you'll jump over to the Ticket app and the Supernovas app. We'll cover it. If you want the live streaming, of course, our partners over at YouTube will carry us through that as well. We are in Atlanta, Georgia. I'm DP Coach Renee Saunders. A couple of things, just full disclosure. So the mechanical folks, the folks who are working IT and the engineering, et cetera, in Atlanta are adjusting on the fly. They've got some things going on. So they may come to us and say, hey, we need to reboot, retool, reset the internet. And of course, that affects our ability to stream from here and to broadcast from here, especially in the pregame. Now, you'll be fine for the match itself, but in the pre-match, for what's going on as they run tests, etc. And Coach Renee Saunders, I don't know if you can see it, but she crosses her fingers and hopes that doesn't affect. But here's the thing. We are responsible for telling you what's going on. We're the eyes and ears of Supernovas Nation, and in a lot of cases for Pro Volleyball Federation. So we have to kind of detail what's going on and why it's going on so folks know. And don't be surprised or prepared. The crowd is starting to come in. We were told the number of tickets that were expected and sold at that point. But it'll be interesting to see what the crowd level is here for a Thursday night in Atlanta, Georgia. What's going on? So plenty in place. Coach Saunders, we were setting the roster. We did, in fact, get a pretty good idea from their staff on what's going on. Rico will inform me what is going on, kind sir. Okay, here's what we're going to do. Again, live radio. We will throw it back to the studios in Lincoln, Nebraska. Harrison Arns will carry and cover. In the meanwhile, based on what's going on, we can jump on the phone and have some conversations as well. But we'll throw it a break. Don't go anywhere. Supernovas Radio coming up here on 927 The Ticket and the Supernovas Radio Network.
Mosaic is a nonprofit, whole-person healthcare organization that embraces God's call and relentlessly pursues opportunities that empower people with diverse needs to live their best lives. Mosaic in Southeast Nebraska, serving Lincoln and Beatrice, would like to invite you to their monthly Discover the Possibilities tour events. Events are held on the third Wednesday of every month and are a great way to understand Mosaic's mission. To RSVP, please contact Melindy at 402-429-0088 or visit mosaicinfo.org/Southeast Nebraska.
Ready to upgrade your combine in 2024? The team at Landmark Implement is here to help find the right combine to fit your operations needs. Choose from 4.5% for up to 60 months or a 12-month interest waiver, followed by John Deere financial rates with approved credit through the end of February. When you purchased a pre-owned S or X Series combine from Landmark, know you are backed by Landmark's extensive parts and service network with mobile techs and parts drop-off points to keep you up and running. View our current inventory online at landmarkimp.com or stop by your local Landmark to experience the Landmark difference.
Where will your path take you, traveler? To seek fortune in a new career? Or on a journey to distant lands for a well-deserved vacation? Wherever you go, one distraction could spell disaster. You can change your fate, adventurer. Don't drive distracted. Paid for by the NDOT Highway Safety Office.
Road construction is complete, so there's nothing keeping you from getting into Mullen Motors. They can get you into a new vehicle right now and get your 2024 started off the right way. They cleared off their 2023 inventory and have tons of new vehicles to choose from to make sure you get to where you need to be this year. Out with the old and in with the new. Stop by Mullen Motors today, just north of 48th and Layton in Lincoln.
No tag-on, just quality vehicles. Mullen Motors.
Southeast Community College invites you to check out our spaces ahead of your official campus visit. Our virtual campus tours let you see our campuses and learn more about our programs of study. Then you can schedule your individual visit in person or virtually. Virtual tours of our campuses in Beatrice, Lincoln, or Milford, and our learning centers are online at southeast.edu/visit SCC. SCC, your path to possible.
The Supernovas Radio Network is live. This is the Omaha Supernovas pregame show brought to you by Mullen Motors.
Welcome back, gang. Again, we are adjusting on the fly as they make the things around us work so we can do our job. I'm DP Coach Renee Saunders. Again, Harrison Arms back at studio in the Lincoln, Nebraska at the Ticket. And Enrique Alvarez-Clary here on site running around like a madman trying to get all the pieces to fit and to connect all the moving pieces. We believe the puzzle now has all of its pieces and we're able to organize. Coach, we look, in-game management is important And we are having to do that. Listen, let's set the table in what you believe to be the starting lineup for tonight's Atlanta Five.
All right, so I thought they were going to go with Tori Stringer because she had such a great match against us last time. She had 40-some assists, led her team to a 5-set victory, but they're actually going to go with Marley Montserrat, setter out of Florida, 4 years in Florida, then 1 year on the beach. Two-time All-American, 23 years old, phenomenal all-around player. She's actually been setting quite a bit for them lately. They've been trying new things, just like, we have, putting people in, putting people out. Atlanta's off a 2-week break, coming off a 2-week break, so we'll see how they come into this match. I think that actually could be a detriment, but that's another conversation. They are going to go with Leah Edmond and Ellie Linehan, Karis Watson and Fanning in the middle, Anna Lazareva on the opposite, Morgan Hens at libero, Marley Montserrat at setter. So 2 minor changes, setter and opposite. Other than that, pretty much the exact same lineup, but I wouldn't be surprised if we don't see Member Monet at some point today, just because she's another 5'7" leaper, super strong, great hitter, and she really adds a little bit of a boost if they need it.
I do want to kind of highlight and send focus to the middle blockers, because in matchup 1, they took over vital moments of the match and critical moments in various games. And between Watson and Fanning, it seems like ducks to water. It seems smooth in how they handle both offensive and defensive needs and requirements, and then some of the decision making required. What can we expect? What are your thoughts on those two tonight, especially as they match up against Omaha?
They're sneaky good. Like against us in Omaha, I thought they actually had more when I was looking at stuff. Watson only had 4 kills. Fanning only had 5 kills, but they were at the right time.
Yeah,
they were at the right time, and I mean that goes to Stringer to get them the ball, when we weren't expecting it, and that's what they did. Karis Watson actually, at a 7-year pro, is their most experienced player on that side of the court, which I was shocked by because 7 years doesn't seem like a lot when we have some 9-year, 10-year people on our side, and then Orlando's got some players that have played a lot longer, so they're kind of a young team as a whole. So it'd be interesting to see how Watson and Fanning step up today. I think defensively they're both strong. Serving-wise, they're both strong. But really just their ability to terminate when their team needs them to is their number 1 attribute.
It was interesting to watch because when you go back and look at that first matchup, that Morgan Hens just simply covered the floor and made every crucial save dig that you could possibly imagine. Listen, they were active on the floor defensively, but Morgan Hens, whenever there was a big swing, Hens seemed to keep the ball from the floor. How good is she?
She only had 25 digs.
Yeah.
I asked, that was my first question to Bert. I'm like, are we going to hit it Hens the whole time again?
Like that was like it really looked like wait a minute. I know that's her job.
But let's not make it. Let's not let her do her job. Like I feel like so many teams don't hit at Kendall because Kendall's going to dig. So let's play a game of don't hit it at her.
Yeah,
and not a game of let's hit it at her and see if she can dig it. So she does a great job of covering her third of the floor, and sometimes some of other people's third of the floor. So I think really, we're going to need to attack, the middle of the court to the right side of the court. We might be able to get a couple 4-to-4 type shots, but she was even digging those. She's just so good playing defense around the block and reading the attacker.
It was interesting that, again, for Dilfer Stringer, who just simply filled all the empty holes, to make that change, is that an offensive change to go to Lazareva? Or what was the move?
I don't know. I'm not in practice every day.
Right.
So you just don't know. You have to trust that they're doing the right. Monserrat's a little bit taller, maybe because of her beach experience, a little bit better on defense, so maybe a better blocker. I don't know. Maybe they're going to match her up on Betty. Maybe they think she's going to be a better block on Betty De La Cruz.
I thought maybe her and Lazareva together. That was kind of the missed point I was making, was that the two of them seemed, when you watch them play since then, that they seem to play better together.
Oh, the Montserrat and Lazareva?
Yes.
Yeah, it could be a million different things. We just don't know until we watch this match. And yeah, she has had a good connection with her, but I don't know. It'll be fun to see how it plays out, because I feel that, obviously Atlanta's going to be a different team, but I think the Supernovas are also a different team. Like I feel like we've grown a lot in the last couple weeks, and especially since the very beginning of the season. So where Orlando, we played like twice in a week. I mean, this is a pretty big gap between. So we're going to see who got better.
It was, and I don't want to bury the lead, but Leah Edmond was the player of the week because of her play in match 1. What do you do? What do you do? Yeah, what do you do to kind of take some of the effect and productivity away from Leah Edmond?
I mean, I really think that stopping her is the key to us winning. You know, I mean, she had 27 kills the first time we played them.
70
Linehan,
swings.
Yeah, Linehan had 13 kills.
Yeah.
Grace Cleveland, who, you know, was playing on
she
the
was
opposite of the time,
excellent.
had 11 kills. So
Yeah.
now you've got Lazareva. So I don't know what's going to happen there. But if you look at, like, we talk about balance all the time, right? If you look at point scoring for the Atlanta Vibe, you've got Leah Edmond at 132 points. Their next closest player in points, so blocks, kills, aces, is Shelly Fanning in the middle with 52. 52. Now, Lazareva hasn't been here forever. She has 26. She's probably only played in a couple matches, but it's still like 132 points. And then your next best is 52. Like, that's a pretty huge difference. When you look over at the Supernovas, you know, we have Brooke at 104. We have Betty at 102. We've got Jess Landsman at 105. So we have 3 players with over 100 points. Again, kills, blocks, aces. Doesn't take into account digs and set assists and all those things that are like the gritty part of the game. Like, it's termination. And the name of the game when you get to professional level is termination.
Cleveland was a player that she was almost strategically placed. Various rotations where she was in the right place in the rotation at the right time. Again, give the coaching staff for Atlanta credit for being able to evaluate time, pull them on the floor. How big of a factor will that be, the bench play tonight for Atlanta?
You know, with the 2-week break, I would think legs are fresh. I don't think they're going to have to dive in their bench a whole lot unless somebody's not playing well. For us, been playing a lot of matches, there's a chance that we have to dig a little deeper into our bench.
Yeah.
But they actually got to go home between Orlando and Atlanta. They had a couple practices, had a serve and pass. That was pretty good this morning. So I think they're in a good headspace. I think they're in a good leg space. It all depends on how many swings. Some of our players have very high volume swings. And so my concern is always shoulders when it comes to that. But if we're in system, we get our middles involved, and we have our balance, we're going to be all right.
All right. Well, we're going to throw it to a break, and then we'll come back. We'll break down the Supernovas roster, what we think the starting lineup will be. Who are the players to watch coming off the bench for Coach Bird tonight? The Vibe has taken the floor. Supernovas are here. Lots of activity in the building as we start to handle our business. We'll go to break and come back to Atlanta, Georgia, here on the Supernovas Radio Network.
Rashawn Jackson here for Bauer Infrastructure, a veteran-owned local company proudly serving Lincoln, Lancaster County, and the surrounding areas. Bauer provides quality work at an affordable price, and they're growing rapidly. If you want to experience a career with a fast-paced, family-friendly environment, visit BauerInfrastructure.com. They have top-of-the-line benefits, year-round work, even through the winter. Bauer, usher in the new era of infrastructure to an area near you. And as always, go Big Red!
Road construction is complete, so there's nothing keeping you from getting into Mullen Motors. They can get you into a new vehicle right now and get your 2024 started off the right way. They cleared off their 2023 inventory and have tons of new vehicles to choose from to make sure you get to where you need to be this year. Out with the old and in with the new. Stop by Mullen Motors today, just north of 48th and Layton in Lincoln.
No tagline, just quality vehicles. Mullen Motors.
At Planet Fitness, Leap Day means an extra day of energy. And who doesn't love energy? To celebrate, now through February 29th, you can join for 29 cents down, $10 a month, and pay nothing until March 17th. Even better, you'll get free fitness training and equipment for every workout, with most clubs open 24 hours. So take advantage of your extra day and get energized at Planet Fitness. Join for 29 cents down, $10 a month, cancel anytime, and pay nothing until March 17th. Deal ends February 29th. See Home Club for details.
I'm Jenny Benson, president of the Nebraska State Education Association. The best way to strengthen our economy for the long term is investing in our education system and raising the skills of American workers. To succeed in the global economy, we need to modernize our schools, hire excellent teachers, and focus on the future. Support great public schools, and we can make the good life even better.
Sponsored by the Nebraska State Education Association. Aired in cooperation with the Nebraska Broadcasters Association and this station.
Where will your path take you, traveler? To seek fortune in a new career, or on a journey to distant lands for a well-deserved vacation? Wherever you go, one distraction could spell disaster. You can change your fate, adventurer. Don't drive distracted. Paid for by the NDOT Highway Safety Office.
The Supernovas Radio Network is live. This is the Omaha Supernovas pregame show brought to you by Mullen Motors.
Welcome back to Gas South Arena, Duluth, Georgia. Again, we want to thank the folks from Mullen Motors, our incredible staff back at 937 The Ticket, the folks from Supernovas. Supernovas app is going to be the move, along with the 937 The Ticket app. If you haven't downloaded them, do so now. Jump over. You can also follow on the live video stream on YouTube as well. DP. Next to Coach Renee Saunders. And, Coach, let's go through. Give me your projected starters for the Supernovas.
Well, I think I have a pretty good lock on it since they turned it into me. So
look.
Barring any huge surprises, the sheet I have, we have Nadi at setter, Brooke and Betty at outside hitter, Tori and Christina in the middle, and Just Shaven Landsman on the right side.
Let's go through what this does and what Nadi has been bringing to the table for the Supernovas in recent matches.
Well, I mean, we've kind of been talking a lot about experience. She's one of our most experienced players, having said for Puerto Rico in the Olympics, has 10 years under her belt. We can compare Sydney and Nadia as much as we want. They're very different players, but both very good at what they do. Nadia's kind of a little firecracker out there. She's got a little sass to her. Sydney's more like straight-faced, cerebral, like ready to go. They're just different in the way they do things. What Nadi does really well, or has proven to do really well, is her connection with the middle and get that ball to them quickly has been really good in getting our middles involved in the game. We've also really done a great job of running a shoot set to the outside for our outside hitters. And our back row attack. I almost left that out. Our back row attack has been coming on. It's almost like watching a men's game back row attack, the template that they're running that at. So both setters run a great offense. Nadi's kind of the little pistol, that kind of gets everybody going, the energizer bunny. But her ability to set middles out of system, her ability to reverse the flow, and I think she has great vision because when she's setting, she tends to get more one-on-ones for her hitters, and that's big peripheral vision that she's using when that happens.
It's going to be a big night. We talked about the Atlanta middles. The Omaha middles will have a direct and loud statement on how this thing plays out tonight. What are we looking for?
I think we're looking for a disciplined block. We got tooled quite a bit in Orlando, so I think it's going to be really important that we have a good disciplined block and that our pins set a great block because we've got to manage their pin hitters. Lazariva and Edmond are the two keys, and if we can slow them down and make their other players do more, I think we've got a good chance.
It's interesting enough that as we talk about the Supernovas, Just Shaven Landsman has not only moved her and worked her way up into the spot that she's currently in, but her level of importance for the success of the Supernovas, the level has absolutely increased. What is she doing? What is she doing with her minutes and her rotations that makes her so valuable?
She might be getting, in the top. She's one of our top 3 in swings, top 3 in points. I think she's number 1 in points based on what I said earlier. But, I mean, she's just going to be involved in the offense at all times. She's going to be involved in the block at all times because they're a pin-heavy team. And she's on that right side. So it's going to be – I don't know if she'll be matched up on Edmond or if or she'll be lined up on Linehan, but depending on who she's lined up with, Nadi's got the other one. So it'll be interesting to see what rotation we start in, see how those matchups match up, and then obviously our ability to adjust as the match goes on.
Some of the players that now get an opportunity to make plays, I think that service will have an impact, right? 5 aces in match 1. What can we expect? What are we looking for?
I mean, really, right now, the number one person we have to hold serve back there is Betty De La Cruz. She's been the most consistent one. Sydney a couple times has held serve. Tori Dixon and Christina Vuchkova have been next best at holding serve. So getting Brooke to hold serve, Jess to hold serve, Nadi to hold serve is going to be really important because we can't create separation if we don't do it from the service line. So it's going to be really important for us to be the most aggressive serving team on the court. And obviously, like, airing is not ideal. You know, we don't want to air, but we're gonna have to serve really aggressive because Hence just passed up Kendall for perfect percentage. She's at 37% perfect passes. Kendall's at 36% perfect passes. So we've got two great liberos on both sides. And so getting people out of system, making the pins do the majority of the passing is going to be another thing that we're going to need to do.
Through all of this, we've learned to pay attention to runs and the ability to get in them offensively and out of them to end them defensively as Supernovas. How critical is that on a night when, again, we know that Leah Edmond, when she gets it going, is a problem?
We don't want her to get it going. So it's going to be, I mean, there's different ways to take hitters out, right? Like you can do it with your serve, hopefully push her back, drop her short, move her in a seam. Different things you can do on the serve to try to take her out. On the block, I think making sure we have a great block set up on her is going to be really important. And then making sure our left back, which is usually Kendall, at the libero spot or the middles when they serve, making sure she is where she can see Edmond when she swings. If she gets stuck behind a block, you could get burned a lot on that 4-4 shot.
Receiving service is so underrated in this thing.
But it's not.
Yeah,
but it's not. Like the best team serve and pass.
Well, we talk about all of the other athleticism, all of the schemes, all of the rotation, the personnel decisions. But that simple thing that happens on every point often gets pushed back. And I wanted to be specific. We need to pay attention to how serves are received and what's being done with them to get folks in the system.
Yeah, and it's funny because sometimes you might be serving the libero and they might only be siding out at 20%. So even though she's passing perfect, they're not terminating on attack. So those are all things that they're keeping in mind over there. There's certain rotations, that if you serve zone 1, they side out at 0%, but if you serve zone 5, they're siding out at 75%. So obviously the first ball side out game is important, and I think, now that everybody's played some matches, they have more data, right? So now we're looking for more tendencies. What do they do in rotation 1 when the ball served to 1 versus zone 5? These are all different things that the coaches, that's their job. They're supposed to figure these things out and then give the team the best plan to win. And I'm guessing knowing Thomas and Bird and John, I called them John Square today, by the way.
Nicely done.
So I think they've done their job as far as like figuring that out. Now it's a matter of like the players just have to execute.
It is that point in time, isn't it, where the coaches, all the prep is done, all the talking is done, and now we're at the moment where plays have to be made by the playmakers, and these are the best playmakers in the world when it comes to women's professional volleyball. We thank you for hanging out with us in the pre-match show here on 97 The Ticket, Supernovas Radio Network. We are going to hand you over to the apps. Jump on the Ticket app. Jump on the Supernovas app. If you want to catch the stream, you can do so over on YouTube, and then we will join you immediately following for the post-match conversation. Duluth, Georgia, Atlanta, Georgia proper, Gas South Arena. It's the Atlanta Vibe and the Omaha Supernovas. I'm DP. She's Renee Saunders. Harrison Arms, thank you, kind sir, for doing what you do. Rico, buckle up, brother. We've got professional volleyball coming up from Atlanta, Georgia, here on the Supernovas Radio Network.
Wall-to-Wall Wine and Spirits is now open in Lincoln. Shop our expansive collection of wine, beer, spirits, and cigars at 5040 North 27th Street. From top-shelf liquor to crowd-favorite beer, Wall-to-Wall Wine and Spirits has a beverage for every